5, 4, 3.
Going live to the world. Can you believe it?
Look at me.
Good morning, everyone, and as always, welcome to beautiful Africa. Welcome to Sabi Sands Game Reserve and to Djuma Game Reserve. It is a bit early, so excuse me if I sort of trip over my words a bit. My name is Peter Pretorius. This is Scott Dyson. Nice to introduce you a little bit again.
Because, thanks, Pete.
It feels like a long time ago that we were out here together, like 2 days.
It has been. It has been a while. It's funny how you kind of lose track of time out here, certainly.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah. And I'm sure you're looking forward to it. You're in Zanele today, so you've got a little bit longer legs, so to speak.
Yeah, it's my maiden voyage in Zanele. So far, so good. So looking forward to see what we can bring up. Also looking forward to working with Tom.
Yes.
Hello.
Come out here, Tom. Let the guys see you. Tom is our he does mostly the editing, so he doesn't get out of the cave as often as most of us. And Tom, nice to have you out here.
Great to be
Great
here.
guy, and yeah, have fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Good fun out there. Sorry that you have to go, Scott, but you know, just kidding. Guys, and so on that sort of light note, Brian seems to be good. All the tests so far have been has been negative, which is good. In other words, it doesn't seem like there's a problem with malaria, but we'll keep an eye on it. And yeah, just a lovely morning. Last night, just before we went home, they heard some noises around here, so maybe there's a bit of leopard activity. The impalas were making some noise, so we're going to look around and have fun, pretty much. 100%. Anything else?
Nothing from me. I'm looking forward to heading out to where we last saw Mvula yesterday morning.
Damway.
Yeah, and just see if there's any more sign of him. I'd really like to spend some more time with him and also get the viewers to see him a little bit more, because yesterday we had some trouble with the broadcast. So that's my plan.
Lovely image though. I saw one of those pictures you took of him. I was telling Scott yesterday somewhere when we looked at the pictures. It's amazing how Kunyuma, his son, and Mvula looks the same. If you see Kunyuma today, you haven't seen him yet, I think.
No, not well.
Yeah. First time you see him front on, you're going to be like, looks like a young Mvula. So.
Well, hopefully we will be able to do the comparison sooner than later.
Cool. Have fun.
Good stuff. Have a good one.
Good, Tom.
See you guys. Cheers.
Got your backside here.
Cool.
There we go. Alright, so that's about it. I don't think I need to talk too much more. It was quite cool this morning, actually. We had a beautiful, beautiful sunrise. Will was driving with us in the Jigger, and we just had this, you know, that classic ball coming up, and it was probably the first 15 minutes the sun stayed like that. So it really has been a beautiful start to the day. Last night on the way home in the Manuleti, we had 3 lionesses right on the road, so that was fantastic. So it feels like wildlife is waking up for the weekend. So let's go look around. And behind this camera, young Jason. Jason, always nice to have you in the vehicle.
Morning, thank you.
Wow! Did we find a hornbill nest? That'll be quite cool. I'm not sure if it's a nest or whether it was just getting maybe some insects or something, just right in that sort of, what would you call that, Jason? A knoll. What would that be?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Old branch that broke off there. Now, often with marula trees, they've got fairly soft inner wood, so that can get soft, and you know, once it's exposed. Just saw the hornbill landing there. One of two things: either it's got a nest and it's difficult to see. It looks like sort of top right-hand corner. There's a bit of a hole. I'm trying to have a look with the binos. It would be nice if there is a nest. Hornbills have got fascinating nesting behavior. Where do we know? There we go. Yeah, I can't see specifically. But hornbills. Oh, here it comes back. Here it comes back. Let's just wait. Sorry, Jason. Actually, let's see. It might have a nest there. We're just not seeing the entrance. If you go back to the hole, it should fly in there just now. Just going to see if it flies. We might have to go a little bit further away. No, off it goes. Who knows? But hornbills have got fascinating nesting behavior. What they'll do is, once they've paired and the female is ready to lay their eggs, the female will go inside the cavity, if you want, or the little sort of tree cave. And let me just get my comms on. Sorry, Will. I just see now I haven't put my my ears on yet. Guys, and as I said, Jason behind the camera, and Will Fox and Graham Wallington in control. Now you can talk to me if you need to tell me something. Hornbills have got this nesting behavior where when the female lays inside this cavity, if you want, or a little small cave inside the tree trunk. Of course. Thank you, Will. You see, that's why I need ears. VM, the wildebeest, who's also one of the crewmen, he's going to be doing a bit of directing this morning. He's going to be that side just to sort of play with the toggles a bit. Scott me up every now and again and that kind of thing. And yeah, so nice to have you that side, VM. So what these hornbills do, I will get to the end of the story before the end of drive, I promise you. We've got about 3 hours left for it, so we'll get there. The female goes, lays the eggs inside, but just before she does that, she plucks all her feathers out. There's some hyena tracks. Plucks all her feathers out, uses that to line the nest with, lays the eggs, but before that, obviously, she's going to get cold now, she doesn't have feathers on. Then the male covers up the whole entrance to the nest, so the hole gets covered with mud normally, and they cover it. Let's say the hole is that big, they'll cover it all the way until it's just a little sort of thin opening like that. And that's just enough for the male to put food in, so he'll bring food to the female, and for her to defecate out. So when she does defecate, it's at that area and it goes out the nest. So that works very well. She sits in the eggs. In that time, her feathers start growing back. Eggs hatch, babies come out, and at some stage when they're a bit bigger, obviously when the female's feathers are grown back or have grown back, then they open that sort of mud covering. She flies out, they cover it again, and they feed the chicks in that last sort of stage until they're ready to go out themselves before they break it out again. So quite interesting nesting behavior. Jeez, that was like a trip down memory lane for me. I haven't thought about that in, I don't even know how long, 10 years. Nice to see it though. So last night when we'd finished up and said goodbye and back at the control room just grabbing the things to go home, we go to Manaleti camp, Alex, I always think of English Alex and Russian Alex. English Alex heard a noise outside when he was busy waiting for us to come out, and he said it sounded like something killing something. In other words, like a leopard maybe catching something, so that type of sound. We came out quickly on the way back just to see if we couldn't spot something. We didn't see anything on this area, but did hear some guinea fowl making noise and so forth. So I'm going to spend a bit of time this morning just really checking this area, because this fits in with what we saw on the afternoon drive. Yesterday on the way to the hyena den, we came across very, very fresh tracks of what I was fairly certain could be Karula's tracks. So that combined with the noise, combined with where we are, morning, yes, the wildebeest agrees. Yeah, those are all good signs. So I'm going to spend a large part of this morning, hopefully a small part of this morning, finding the leopard, and a large part of this morning watching the leopard. But if need be, the other way around as well. These guys are all getting nice and busy now. They've been not feeding too much at night. Typically they sleep at night, they move around a little bit. I mean, they don't fall asleep at 8 o'clock and wake up at 6. They, you could say they sleep with one eye open kind of thing. They're very alert at night. So in the morning early, once the sun's up and they can see clearly, that's when they come out and they start their first sort of grazing session for the day. Lots of young ones suckling and doing their thing. This herd has really developed nicely over the last couple of weeks. It's in this group that we saw the first birth, the second and the third and the fourth birth over about 2 days period of time, and then the others have sort of come along as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, see about 6 or 7 youngsters. I can see 1 or 2 of the females that still need to have their youngsters. So 1 or 2 more births on the card maybe. Eight youngsters, there's another one. Yeah, but we'll have a look at them maybe 1 or 2 more times this morning. Scott's going to go out further and sort of look around further. But what a beautiful setting, just look at that. Stunning morning, the sun is waking up fast now. I think it's going to get hot later on. Hey, there's a tree. Also remember, it's always nice to have a bit of a chat on the drive, so you can do so in 2 ways. Questions at wildearth.tv or tweet at #SafariLive. And the guys at control will send it through to us and we'll have a chat. In the mornings, much more so than in the afternoons, it's quite crucial to check the tracks carefully because there's lots of things walk at night, especially your predators. I mean, this is what the guides also are looking for a lot in the mornings: leopard, lion, cheetah if they're around. So that's the time when you get the fresh news on the ground, what's been happening. And 2 reasons. One, you want to check it so you know. I mean, obviously if there's a leopard around, you want to know so that you can follow up a little bit to at least get an idea of who it might be and so forth. Secondly, also, even if you might not be looking for it, maybe the next vehicle around might be looking for tracks. So what you typically do is you check for tracks, and when you've got areas like this where it's nice and sandy, you just leave a little patch for other guys to check. Thank you all. Great question. Just what was that? Was it Cheryl? Jason? Kim? Sorry, I just missed the beginning of that. Thank you to all. I don't know where I got Cheryl from. Morning, Kim. And nice to know you've been in this area already. Or before, she was down in Skukuza. Kim wants to know, how do the animals differ from Sabi Sands? Actually, Kim, very little. Well, actually not at all, other than being other animals. But close to you, that is big airport in a straight line from where we are. Skukuza is like one of the main camp of Kruger National Park. And the animals would be the same, but the experience is quite different from here, or this is quite different from there. Because this animals would be the same, but the experience is quite different from here, or this is quite different from there, because this is all private land. And what's that sound? Thank you. So the difference is, like you'll see just now, I'm going to need to go off-road in a bit because all that noise we heard last night at the guinea fowl were back here. So what I'm doing first, I'm just checking the roads to see if there's any tracks coming out. And if we did find a leopard now and it's moving, you can go off-road with it. So the ability to follow the animals and really stay with them and really get a private personal experience with them is what you do here. And that's a really nice, intimate view into wildlife. Whereas the Skukuza, it's part of the national park there, no off-roading and so on. At the same time, it's got a phenomenal road network, about it. I'll get there. So the ability to around and go to this river and that hill and really see a lot of terrain. Is beautiful, and it's just such a lovely massive place. All the time, you know, millions of acres, and that's just brilliant. Alright guys, we're going to keep looking, and if we get anything we'll let you know. In the meantime, have a nice drive with Scott, and thanks for spending your morning with us.
Welcome back, folks. We are currently on the same road that Mvula walked down yesterday morning in an easterly direction towards the sun. Obviously that was a long time ago, but we're still on the way to the area where we last did see him, and we know, and I've heard from people that have spent more time with Mvula, that he is prone to spending a lot of time in the northern part of the area that we traverse. So that's what our initial plan is, just to kind of snoop around and see what we can find in this northeastern part of our property on Djuma. So far we haven't had too much luck in terms of tracks or any sightings. The only thing that got us a little bit excited earlier on was some lion tracks, but they turn out to be from the night before last, so no luck with the lion tracks. We're going to continue. I just stopped here to double check a sandy patch in the road. Depending on where you are, the substrates of the road differs, so when you find a good sandy patch, it's worth stopping to really have a closer look, and then you know you can carry on for a few hundred meters without being too concerned that you've missed anything. That is, however, presuming the animal walked down the road as opposed to across it. If an animal walks across the road, it's very easy to overlook its tracks. I consider myself extremely lucky to have started my guiding career in this area, because the game viewing is incredible as the initial point, but also because you get to work with some of the best trackers in the world. The local Shangaan people who live here really have got an eye for tracking, and it's an art form that gets passed down over the years. Around the campfire, elderly men pass it on to younger generations, and sadly, well, not sadly, but one of the catches at the moment is that because local people are becoming less, less reliant on herding cattle and livestock as a form of income and lifestyle. People are getting regular jobs. The art of tracking and spending time with the bush is slowly being lost, but because of these lodges and these camps bringing in new generations, the older trackers are now passing on that vital and valuable information to the younger upcoming. Because I got to rub shoulders with some highly talented trackers. I'm gonna try and get Tom into a position where he could show you guys these lion tracks. Like I say, they are from last night, but it will be worth giving you guys a look just for interest's sake. So Tom, if you can try on the right hand side of the road there. There we go, that's going to work well. So I'm sure from that image you get the gist of it, but I'll just, oh, sorry. I'll just jump out to give you a quick rundown as to what's going on. Are you on this track? So, yeah. So it's not easy to see from your angle, but the lions were heading down the road in this direction, and you can actually tell which paw is which by simply placing your fingers into their toe marks. And when I put my left hand in the toe, my fingers fit perfectly, but when I put my right hand, it doesn't fit. So this was a left paw, and in all likelihood a back paw, because it's smaller than what would be a front paw up ahead here. So just a quick one. It's not easy for us to show you tracks, so this was a good example. So even though we're not tracking them and they're from last night, it was give you what to look for. That, folks, is very easy sand to track in. I mean, if it was like that, you could be walking slightly closer towards us on the harder patch of road, how much harder it would be to see their tracks. Good work there, Tom.
Thank you.
The reason that I know the tracks are from last night is not because I'm a master tracker, it's simply because I was aware of the updates of these tracks yesterday morning when I was out on drive. But let's say, for example, I wasn't out yesterday morning and I came across these tracks now for the first time. After close inspection and looking at many tracks as opposed to just one, you can get ideas as to how old they are. For example, if a nocturnal animal, let's say a white-tailed mongoose, for example, was to those tracks, that would indicate to you that the chances of a mongoose walking on the lion tracks after they've been there and at night would mean that there's a strong chance that it's a day later, for example. So you can read into other animal tracks being on top of the tracks you are tracking to give you an idea of how old they are, and also simply by feeling the track, if it's caked and kind of almost crusted and made a bit of a layer, then that also means that they were particularly walking when it was dewy or wet, and if it's become hard, that means it would have had a day of sunshine to harden. Beautiful day today. When we leave the camp where we stay on our way to Jumarathusa in the mornings, we typically leave at around sunrise, so a beautiful time to be up and about. And this morning was certainly my best sunrise since I arrived here, and it coincided with so filming with the drone this morning, so you guys get to see some of the footage. Beautiful sunrise. I should have mentioned, but we just drove past where we last saw Mvula yesterday morning, where HT left him. He had been moving in a predominantly northerly direction, which means he could well have continued north once he got active again. Excuse me, but I'm not sure of how far his territory expands to the north, so I'm hoping if he did head a little bit further north, Yesterday he may have done whatever territory marking he needed to do and then headed back south onto the area where we spend more time driving. Thanks so much for that update. We haven't come up with anything yet on Juno, so we'll let you guys know if anything changes there. Sorry about that, folks, but incredibly important to keep in touch with the guides. That was a guide who spends a lot of time on the Arethusa property that we also traverse, and he was kindly just giving me an update that the trucks of the Birmingham boys have headed in a certain direction. They're not too far away, but they are out of our reach at this stage, but not too far away, which is good for the coming days. Okay. Now we have tracks of what looks to be a male leopard. Oh, I wish I could. Let me try and reverse and show you something, because it is very interesting, I think, at least. So, Tom, I'll just direct you. I think you should be able to get it in screen. But can you see that track over there? Is it looking okay in the shot? Medium. Well, anyway, this over here is the back pad of a leopard, and it's heading in this direction, so that it would have scent marked in this bush. So it would have walked past and then scent marked, and then now it's carried along to over here in that direction. So just nice to see that we know from that track that it would have scent marked in that small tambuti tree that we can see. I'm just going to continue. The tracks could be from last night. I'm guessing they are. He lapped the whole day where we left it and then headed in an easterly direction. I need to see more tracks than just those two to be able to establish how fresh they are. Just like I mentioned earlier. But we're heading in the same direction as he was heading. If it was 12 hours ago or 24 hours ago, he could have made a kill around the next corner and be lying in a tree. So even if tracks aren't very fresh, it doesn't mean you're not far away from the animals. So at least you're heading in, as long as you're heading in their direction, it's a good starting point. Oh yeah, these are looking good. Okay. Great stuff, folks. This is what we were hoping for when we headed out. And his trucks do continue down this road. Just gonna carry on by slowly. And at the next main road junction, or if I see any major pathway leading off the road, then I'll stop to assess if he has gone down it. I can't see any tracks now, but I'm typically looking on the right hand side. Yeah, they're here again. It's easier for me obviously to look on the right hand side of the road than over the bonnet. So if he is on the left hand side of the road and he is weaving, I may lose the tracks temporarily. The other thing to bear in mind when tracking is, if you're only looking at the ground, you could drive past the leopard lying in a
mid-late 20s, well, probably late 20s, early 30s. I couldn't.
I cannot see the tracks anymore, but like I say, you could be weaving from side to side. I'm just going to check a little bit further, and if we don't see anything, I'm going to assume that he took a shortcut to head down a road that heads back south, which is exactly what we want him to be doing. This area of the road is very, very hard, so I just need to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. I think it's fair to assume now, I can confidently say he hasn't come further down this road in the direction he was heading in. Whether he went north or south off the road is difficult to tell. We're going to check in a southerly direction because there was a road which we're just going to take now, and he obviously knows where he's going very well, and if he knew that he was going to be changing his route slightly, he may have cut across this kind of open short grass area straight to the road rather than walking all the way and then changing direction sharply. Kind of eased into it, I'm hoping. The beauty of following tracks for me is simply knowing that the animal was there, guaranteed. You can see his footprints or her footprints, and then you can just let your mind wander as to what happened and you can picture him scent marking in that bush because you know he did it. So I tend to let my mind wander and just imagine exactly what was going on. No sign of his tracks on this road yet, sadly. They could be here and I may just not be seeing them. Or he may have headed in another direction. So we've kind of gone off the boil, but I'm going to continue working this general area and then potentially head back to the point where I saw the last tracks and then establish exactly what happened. But a bit of leapfrogging and there's a lot of luck involved, so just by thinking, okay, well, let's go and check this area. We know in the general area of where the animal was moving, you can get lucky. So that is currently the theory we are employing, the luck theory as opposed to the skill theory. These birds up ahead are really pretty, just on the right hand side of the road, Tom. Little Franklin, crested Franklin, and they seem quite relaxed, so there we go. We can also hear some of the same bird calling behind us. So this is a crested Franklin. In all likely, there we go. So it did show us one little call, the same call as what we were hearing behind us. Very, very pretty little birds. Oh, no ways. Okay, we might get very lucky here, folks. Just bear with me for a moment. I've just seen a nightjar fluttering about and I thought it landed in a nice little clear patch and then it took off again. Oh, they are nocturnal birds. And they've got incredibly cryptic coloration, so that when they lie on the ground during the day, they can't be seen. So for us to get a visual of one now in the daylight would be magical, because it doesn't happen often where you find when you find them sleeping during the day. I'm just going to get my binoculars out and see if I can't find it, but I think it flew off and then landed and then flew off again, and I'm not sure how far it went. Even with binoculars, I do not fully back myself in being able to see this bird, because it has got incredibly cryptic coloration and it would blend into that leaf litter extraordinarily well. So, but definitely worth a try. Oh, we'll go get one more angle. As Tom's showing you guys, it is thick in there, not easy to see. Oh, that's a pity. Anyway, now that I know where it took off from, I might actually have a quick look, as it may be nesting. No, we'll leave it. I'm going to continue, but now that I know where it took off from, it often sleeps in the same place from what I've noticed over the years. So it'll sleep in a small little scrape or tiny little dugout depression that they make in the ground. So we'll be sure to keep an eye on that area next time we come down here. And that's another good example of, by stopping for the smaller things, it could lead on to something more exciting or something you don't expect to see. I'm a huge believer in that, so if you do find me stopping very frequently, that there is method to my madness. Good morning, it's Scott here from WildEarth. No major updates at this stage. I did have tracks of, I'm guessing Mvula heading west from close to where he was seen yesterday morning, east, along Buffelshoek cut line. And then I lost them kind of in line with Buffelshoek Dam, and I'm just working this area. I'm not sure if he headed north or south of the cut line. Another game viewer is just getting out now. His guests obviously decided to have a little bit of a sleep in this morning, so they're getting out a little bit later. Okay folks, well, I'm going to spend some time exploring around this dam, and if we come up with anything interesting, I'll be sure to let the control know, but at the moment, for the time being, maybe head back to Pete and see what he's been up to.
welcome back this side, everyone. You're having fun there with Scott. Nice to know at least if we haven't found him. We saw the tracks of Mvula. He says he got them there. So in the northeastern corner of where we can go. So it looks like he's headed maybe towards, who knows, Torchwood, Cheetah Plain side. We haven't had much luck yet. We'd gone into that area that I thought it might be in. Nothing in there that we could find. There were also some wildebeest moving through there. So no alarm calls from them. And at the moment, honestly, I don't really know where I'm going. I'm just sort of taking a drive along. We're just circling back around from where we've been checking. It's flying away. Black-bellied coron, that big sort of biggish bird. But I also haven't found leopard tracks coming out anywhere, so that does make me think. Definitely had those fresh tracks yesterday afternoon, so I think we're going to do one more loop around this side. We haven't done the sort of western and northern part around Boitsela Lodge, Gallagher open area, and kind of lodge there. Past the waterhole, we'll work back up maybe Zoe's Road, stuff like that. We're going to stick around here because I do have a feeling if there is a leopard around, whether it's Karula or one of the boys, I'm not sure, but you know, an adult female or young male leopard from the track size. And obviously I'd like to, so we can check around here quite a bit, getting to know Zanelli a little bit, and both the driving and the signal aspect of her, in other words what you can and can't do with her, where you can and can't go, and so on. Hyena tracks, no leopard tracks. Beautiful kudu though, look at that. There's another one coming. This is a bit of a younger male. He's about going into his 3rd year now. Oh, Jason, this big bull is going to come out on the left here. There we go. Beautiful bull. This guy's a bit older. He's probably about, maybe almost 5 years old. Going into his prime now. Over the next 2-3 years, he'll be in his sort of top of his condition. Gonna have the sort of, I see there's another 2 behind this, so we're gonna sort of like counting sheep. We're just gonna watch the kudus coming past. This is a herd that we saw. We see them sporadically, but we saw them really nicely about 6-7 days ago, something like that. A couple of big males in this. In fact, the next guy you're gonna see, he's got rather wide horns. The spread of the horns are very, very wide compared to average. Although you won't see that now. He's looking sideways to us. The one at the back here, this last one coming through, is probably the biggest of the 4, just looking at his physical condition. Cool. Some kudus. Fresh buffalo dung there. Probably a couple of big bulls, Duggar boys is hanging around the area, maybe down towards the water, we'll see them, or just around the corner, who knows, but some buffalo around. another big footpath. It's one of the sort of main highways, if you want, that goes down to Woytilla Dam. So be careful around, Jason, if you check those riverbed areas very carefully. Beautiful area down there. That's all sort of a small drainage line. That area there goes all the way down to the dam. Thank you. Sorry guys, there's something that's rolling around there. It's something that Leishan often laughs about. I just have this thing. I mean, most people probably to some extent, but if I'm driving, I don't want to hear things rattle. And that comes from packing. You know, if you're packing things for expedition, you're packing a vehicle to go 2, 3, 4 weeks into remote areas. You want to make sure everything's packed right, because if things shake around, things break and so on. But I think that really got sort of overdeveloped, if you want, with my years with WildEarth. Whenever I hear anything that sounds loose or rattle or squeak or anything that's, I want to find it, because give it time and it's going to wear through. So. But that's just a water bottle. Easy to fix. Red-chested cuckoo calling there. You can hear the bird. Seems a bit quiet this morning. It feels like a sort of Sunday morning, you know, when Chris Christopherson might write a song about walking through the bush and not hearing much. So we can have a look down towards the dam. Hey, buffalo thorn. There's no big wildlife there. Maybe just do a little bit of birding, see what's around. I know there's almost some nice starlings and what is that? No. Is it? Too far. 2 woodland kingfishers just making a lot of noise there. I'm sure you can hear them nicely. Okay, James, how's it going? James is from Kansas City. And James, nice to have on vehicle. James is just asking about the trackers. Scott earlier was talking about the trackers that most of the lodges work with. Do they go home at night, or do they stay on the property? James, 99% of the trackers would live on the property, well, for when they're working. Most lodges, the ones that I've worked in, and most of the lodges in this area work on like a 6-week, 10-day, or 6-week, 2-week, 7-week, 14, 16 days. They've got slightly variations of the cycles, but normally sort of a 6 to 8 week on period, and then 10-day to 18-day off period. We'll drive down to the water's edge, and in that time they work every day if it's busy, but if it's not that busy they have morning off here and afternoon off there, but they live at the lodge, so they don't go home necessarily, although some of the trackers in this specific area, Juma and the lodges on the sort of the northwestern area, if you want, their homes are just outside, so they may be half an hour away or so, 45-minute drive from the camp, so they might sometimes go home if they've got a day or two free in their sort of work cycle. And if you've maybe just joined us, what James is referring to, Scott was explaining earlier, that a lot of the lodges use trackers, and a tracker is just, I mean, basically you have another person yet, hey baby hippo, looked like a mini hippo there for a second. Let's just see if we can have a quick look. He's going to run into the water, that's what hippos do, but yeah, we can have a look at him maybe. Here we go. Wow, goslings, that's cool. We've been talking about the geese when they have their goslings. They nest further away from the water, but they bring the babies back once they hatch. And if you look very carefully, Jason, you got them. Cool. We are going to try and get another look at them somewhere in the next day or two, because they're beautiful. I mean, like all little birds. Well, let me rephrase that. Like all little birds, once they get a little bit older, they are very beautiful. Most birds aren't that good looking when they hatch. It's not like a baby leopard or a baby impala. But once they're out, they're stunning. And it looks like, difficult to see exactly. 6, 7 of them maybe. We'll try and get a good look at them in a bit. Another question, brilliant. Hello Kelly, nice to have, it's been a while since we heard from anyone out of Philadelphia. I'm sure it's very cold up there at the moment. You guys are almost in the middle of winter. There are the goslings. Let's try and get a quick look. Kelly is just asking about fish eagles. Now, fish eagles is one thing that these geese would have to look out for. Let's try and get a count there quickly while they're on the edge. 1, 2, 3, 6, maybe 7. Fish eagles, obviously the name suggests, they hunt mainly fish. But they will catch other things. I've seen a fish eagle catch a dove. They will catch small mammals and things as well as opportunity sort of presents. But typically, Kelly, you're right. They prefer being around waterholes. So around the big rivers, you get fish eagles, quite a lot. And then the big waterholes. I mean, there's 1 or 2 dams north of here that we don't get to, Kayamanzi and so on, that have fish eagles almost permanently. We saw a fish eagle here. In fact, I took quite a nice picture of it that I still want to play with and get out there. But 10 days ago, so we had a really nice view. If I remember correctly, it might have been VM on the camera even. Noisy as always. Where's the hippos gone? Let's have a look for the hippos. They're all hiding at the moment. There's a little head popping out. Okay, the hippo's not doing too much. We're going to look around here a bit. I'm going to check the tracks, and you're going to go have a bit of fun with Scott. So have a nice time with Scott. We'll get you back here in a bit.
welcome back, folks. Myself and Tom have not managed to leave Buffalo's Hook Dam because of such great bird action that we are witnessing. These are red-billed buffalo weavers that have been providing some great entertainment because they are flying off to collect branches and then bringing them back in and building their nest. As you can see, it's not the neatest structure, and unlike your typical weaver's nest, which is often a work of art, this is a little bit more of a haphazard structure, and due to the nature of the way they build their nests haphazardly, they rely on using thorn branches, and obviously thorn branches will help interlock and stay together and not fall apart. Which you can imagine that structure, if it didn't have any thorns, it would, a little bit of wind, it would fall apart. Oh, there comes another one with a massive branch. It really is incredible how big some of the branches are that they bring in. So yeah, we've been sitting here and we've had the red-billed buffalo weavers. Now they are making this multi-chambered nest, so several females will nest within this, what you could essentially call an apartment block, or referred to as an apartment block with lots of different chambers in which females will breed. And in some cases these nests are big enough to even house vultures or other birds of prey on top of the nest. And wouldn't that be nice, being a vulture coming along and having your nest pre-built by the buffalo weavers, and you just perch yourself on top. Here comes another one. Oh. There's so much going on. I've got my camera out hoping to get a shot of one flying in with the branch, but I'm always looking in the wrong place. Tom is doing a good job there though on the camera. Well, interestingly enough, since we've been here, there's been... Oh, here we go. Let me try to get that one. Oh, I don't know if I did. Yeah. So interestingly enough, since we've been here, we've seen a few very, very nice birds, of which I'll show you in the book a little bit later. But we've seen an orange-breasted bushrike, which is an exceptionally pretty bird, and actually heard it calling before we saw it, and that led us to look in the right place to see it. It's got a very distinctive call that rings out, which some people have made a little rhyme saying, "Coffee, tea or me?" So that's the orange-breasted bushrike, which was good to see. I hadn't seen one of those for a while. And then another call that led us to find a bird was that of the Deirdrick's cuckoo. And the Deirdrick's cuckoo is a brood parasite, so it will lay its eggs in other birds' nests and then let the foster parents do all the work raising their young. Obviously a very clever tactic that the cuckoos have worked out over time. And the cuckoos can specifically choose certain species. You get some cuckoos, for example, the Klaas's cuckoo, which is the Deirdrick's cuckoo's closest cousin, you could say, and they will only parasitize fork-tailed drongos. And I say only in inverted commas because anything is possible out here. So the Klaas's cuckoo, for example, will target the fork-tailed drongo. The Deirdrick's cuckoo is not as fussy, but it tends to parasitize birds like weavers and sparrows and bishops. And a weaver is what we have in front of us. It's a buffalo weaver, but it does fall into the weaver family. So it would be very interesting to know if the Deirdrick's cuckoo, which was in this tree, was trying to find a way or a gap in which it would slip into the nest, lay its egg and get out before anyone notices. So we've seen the Deirdrick's cuckoo, the orange-breasted bushrike, a malachite kingfisher also flew past us earlier, a tiny beautiful little kingfisher, and hopefully that will come out and show itself again. We've got some white-breasted cormorants that Tom will be able to show you sunning themselves on the other side of the dam. They were fishing when we arrived, so have, oh no, they're behind that bush. Let me just reposition slightly. They were hunting when we arrived. There they are. So those are the white-breasted cormorants, and interestingly you can notice that two of them on the right have a very white breast, whereas the one on the far left is kind of half black and half white. So we can assume that there's a difference in sex between the two, or age. So those are two juveniles on the far right. At least that's according to the information. I've just read up on this in my book. Juvenile brown above. Interesting. Well, either way, there is a difference in their age. I need to find out more, get a little bit more. Oh, look at that drongo drinking. Well spotted, Tom. Pity the tree's in the way, but here it comes back on the right of the tree. Wonderful. Look at that. Great shot, Tom. That was awesome. So my guess is that it was drinking, but it could as well have been scooping small insects off the water. That bird there that Tom has just spotted is a sandpiper. Let me get my binoculars out to double check which type.
Drongo again.
Oh, awesome. I think it could be eating insects or drinking or wetting its breast. As you can see, it was really plopping in there. Now we'll see it might be cleaning itself. Sadly, it landed on the wrong side of the tree. Yeah, it's actually just, it was having a little bath. You noticed how it really plucked itself into the water there. And now it's sitting in a bush. Sadly, you can't see, but I've just got a glimpse of it. It's preening its feathers and fluffing itself about. So it's just been having a bath. So now I am going to have another look in the book and establish which plover this is. I mean, not a plover, it's a sandpiper. It's a sandpiper that we are looking for. So much time here this morning, but as you can hear, the birds are going crazy. That you can hear, I'm sure it'll do it again, is the orange-breasted bush shrike that I spoke about earlier. And yeah, it really is alive with all different types of birds. A lot of the water birds that we've obviously been seeing, the malachite kingfisher, the sandpipers, blacksmith plovers, white-breasted cormorants, to name a few that we've seen. There were a few Egyptian geese floating about earlier. I don't know where they've gone. And then some really beautiful birds, and a little bit more secretive, the bush shrikes and the cuckoos. But they're all here at Buffelshoek Dam. Interestingly, the cormorants are here every time I've been here, and I wonder if that's because there's a specific species of fish that they feed on, or if it's simply just a very productive dam in terms of the fishing, because I haven't seen them at any of the other dams yet. We certainly can see quite a few boils and rises from fish, but not sure what species they are actually feeding on. It's probably one of two species, a tilapia. Okay, Tom, you see the sandy bank on the right hand side at 1 o'clock? Zoom in as much as you can to that, and you can see the malachite kingfisher sitting above the second hole. I don't know if, yeah, there we go. Awesome. Now that could well be its nest, folks. In that bank, they do nest in holes that are made into banks along the side of dams. It is far away, folks, but I'm sure you're getting a few flashes of that bright red bill. It's got a metallic blue head that runs down to its back and a bright orange chest. I will get it in the book to show you once it flies off, but that is a malachite kingfisher. It hunts tiny little fish, and who knows, maybe it'll even put on a little bit of a show for us this morning. There was a pied kingfisher in the area when we arrived. We haven't seen any further sign of it. But two different kingfishers so far here this morning. Wouldn't it be nice if we saw this kingfisher go into a specific hole? Actually, I think I can see another kingfisher coming in and out of the hole directly below it. If you watch closely, we may see a little bit of movement of a head poking out there. Either that or I'm imagining things. I'll look through my binoculars here. That could well have been my imagination, but I was looking into the small monitor, but I can see what Tom's filming, and I thought for some reason that I saw some movement in that hole directly below where the kingfisher is sitting. It really is a spectacular bird, almost worth Googling an image of all of you guys for you guys to see back home. My book has got painted illustrations, and a photograph would do this bird more justice. So Google malachite kingfisher and enjoy the beauty close up. Who knows, he may come closer, or she may come closer to us if we're lucky. Here comes the pied kingfisher, Tom. Jeez, we are really... okay, well, it's back in action. So much going on with these birds, I don't know which way to look. So, now, the pied fisher that just came and landed in a tree, it's not easy to see, but I'm hoping before long it's going to start showing us how it hunts, and it's got an incredible ability to be able to hover dead still in one position and somehow manage to see fish in this chocolate brown water, and then it plummets, boom, straight down into the water, and hopefully we'll be able to show you that live. I'm not sure where it came from, but it hasn't been hunting yet this morning, so let's hope that it's a late starter and it's just warming up its engines to put on a show for us. It's just kind of hiding to the in the center of the shot there, you can probably see its bill moving from side to side occasionally. Not the best angle, but it just goes to show that the pied kingfisher is here as well. So we'll monitor it, and now the kingfisher, the malachite kingfisher, has left. Where it went, I'm not sure. Like I said, there's just so much going on here, we don't know where to look. There are also hippopotamus in this dam, but they are being upstaged by their smaller feathered friends this morning. In all fairness, the hippo have just got back from a long night out grazing, so it's okay for them to have a snooze now, and the birds can take over with entertainment. So it'll be very interesting to know the dynamics of these red-billed buffalo weavers. That's a great shot, Tom. So this one's looking for some nesting material. That looks like potentially material that we'll be using for the interior of the nest, lining it's her little inside chamber or apartment. It was a softer, greener piece of vegetation, which wouldn't be much use on the exterior of the nest. And this nest that we can see here, it's an average-sized red-billed buffalo weaver's nest, but in certain scenarios, and quite often actually on man-made structures, they can build monstrous nests. And when I say monstrous, you know, a meter squared by kind of 2 meters high, they can be massive. So this is a kind of regular size nest, but they do get a lot bigger in certain situations.
Libyan Airlines later today.
Or blacksmith lapwings, as they are now called. Here comes a buffalo weaver with a heavy branch coming in. Oh. Whew. This has been really wonderful. We stopped initially at what we planned for to be only for a few minutes, and it's turned out to be a lot longer than that, and a lot more enjoyable than I thought it would be. The birds literally just kept popping out, and as soon as we thought, okay, well, that was great to see, the orange-breasted bushshark, then the Deirdrick's cuckoo came, and then the malachite kingfisher flew past, so they kept just popping up and surprising us, which was wonderful. Whew. Having said that, though, I think the excitement and the bird party has slowly begun to subside in intensity. So I think we will start moving on now. And oh, there's the pied kingfisher. Let's just have one last look at the pied kingfisher. It's sitting on the same perch as where the malachite kingfisher was earlier, Tom. That is a female that we can see. You can see that she's got 2 black spots on her chest. A male would have those 2 black spots and then a black line below that. So the way I remember is that the female is wearing a bra that we can see now, and the male that's got also those 2 spots and a line below would be wearing a bow tie and a cummerbund. So that's my little trick for remembering the difference between a male and a female pied kingfisher. So who knows, maybe that's her nest below the branch, or she's got no interest in those holes in the cavity and is simply using that perch as a vantage point for viewing potential prey items just below. She did seem to be looking at the water very intently. Anyway, we'll stay with her for a few moments. Why don't you guys catch up with Pete, and if we have any more action here, we'll let the control know and bring you on back. Otherwise, we will see you later.
Well, welcome back this side. Hope you had fun with Scott. I'm sure you did. We've stopped here at Treehouse Dam and just thought you can join us for a bit. It's nice and calm. I like sitting at waterholes, well, anytime really. Got a couple of buffalo here. We're going to look at them. There's a few masked weavers. Those beautiful yellow birds busy weaving their nests. We're going to try and catch them when we can. Just out of interest sake, those of you that joined us for yesterday afternoon's drive, the Sunset Safari, these are the same 2 buffalo that we had the sort of quite relaxed bit of time with down in that riverbed. The bull at the back would be the one that we saw, that we sort of spent some time with, and the other bull we just saw briefly on the way out. I know 1 or 2 of you made them avatars after this, so the one in the front is the one that was seen second on the drive. They're not doing too much. They sort of feel like I feel at the moment. They're just content and happy to be at a waterhole, nothing bothering them. They'll do a bit of mud wallowing, maybe lie down in the water, just take it easy. There's some good grazing. Oh, yeah, quickly, Jason, sorry, we're going to try and get this when we can. There's a weaver. That's actually a nest that looks like it's finished. So either he's just putting the finishing touches on it, meaning a bit of the soft grass. They sort of lay it out on the inside with soft grass. There's another weaver up on the side. It's going to be difficult to see them. They are birds and they do fly fast, but just a little bit up. Where is it now? Just there is another one. Looks like from what I've seen so far, at least 3 males, maybe 4 males building nests here. This is a perfect place for the nest because those branches we're looking at now, they hang over the edge of the water. So this tree is not likely, or very unlikely, to be browsed by giraffe or elephant from there. And also for a lot of animals, little things that might bug them, like mongoose or things like that, they're not as likely to go climbing around there because if they fall, they're falling into the water. So good safe place, or a good place for them to build the nest. Let's just try and have a look. I'm hoping, because it's about time now, we stopped a few minutes back. There's a nest right in front, and that one is in the process of being built. You can see it's got fresh green grass in it. Now, these birds sometimes will fly quite a distance to find the perfect grass blades for what they're doing. So let's hope something comes back in the next few seconds. We won't watch it for too long, but it might come back. maybe it's not coming back in time. But what we can do is we can show you that nest really close up. Oh, this one doing its thing. Let's see if we can show you this. Look at this nest. Comms are pulling a bit. That's the entrance there. Can you see inside that? Actually laid out with some acacia leaves already, so they do like an inner layer to it. And then the back area, this part here, would be the sort of the living room, if you want. That's where the female would sit. That's where they would nest when the eggs hatch, where the chicks will stay in the beginning. And they're perfectly woven up onto the branch there. I mean, it is actually amazing the engineering, if you want, behind that. It's a perfectly designed, perfectly built home. Sorry, this is the gigador. We're going to roll along slowly. Probably see these buffalo again later, maybe, because they look like they're going to stay here for the day. Cheers, guys. Also not that far from the old buffalo carcass from the Birmingham males. Just for interest sake, they've been sitting further west towards Simbambili. Heard on the radio last night. They've left our area. But you're going to see that carcass yesterday we went past. There wasn't really much left on it, but there is still food on it. So maybe a hyena or a jackal or a couple of vultures will have a look at it. Elephant track looks like a small breeding herd. This is maybe worthwhile following. They've crossed here, but they're heading towards Zoe's Road, Rebecca's Road. Looks like one of these small herds, maybe 5 or 6 animals. can see the branch across the road. That's from the elephants. This is still in, yeah. So they've crossed the same direction, obviously, as what we saw on the earlier road. Hyena tracks. Just go and have a look at the carcass. Smell it. Although looking at it now, yesterday I thought there was more food left, but if you look into it, you can see the vultures really have done their job, and we don't have to go into too much detail, but they've got the long necks, you know, they can really crane their necks to get inside the carcass and really clean out all the food there. So this really is just now the skin and bones that's left. I don't think there's going to be too much activity on this. Even the fly. That's, how shall I put it? That doesn't smell like breakfast. Where's the best road out of here? Oh, sorry, Jason, we're going to have to go past there again. You normally find the case when you find a buffalo kill like that, then yeah, all the vehicles coming in, you sort of make like a little temporary road in there, or little track. So try and stick to those. Just go around the side. Don't have to go that close past it again. Definitely came past tonight. There's two different tracks going up and down the road. So probably came down last time. Again, this would now be food for them, you know, under sort of, you know, difficult conditions. If they're really struggling, they could get back here and chew on some of that skin and even some of the bones that they couldn't break so far. But the good stuff is gone, so to speak. So that would only be something they could feed off if conditions were tough. And normally out here, Sabi Sands, we've got high predator, high prey numbers. So the hyenas in this area do actually do quite well just from scavenging. They don't even have to hunt as much as some other hyenas in other areas might hunt. So it's not likely they'll have to utilize that again. They'll have other carrion, other carcasses they can feed from. Copy. Control Ranger. Don't answer me, I know you're busy. Just need to give you feedback on the camera, Jason. Just saying that it now shows insufficient voltage, which it hasn't done before. So it's not showing low voltage, showing insufficient voltage, and it won't record. Just so you're aware of it. Copy. Hello, Mr. Bria. It's always nice to have one of our Zoomies on the drive. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, the Zoomies are a group of people that are dedicated and helps WildEarth on a volunteer basis, and they help control the Warthog camera or Warthog cameras in different parts to have a look at. So first of all, thank you very much for being part of the team as well. And great question, and maybe you should ask that question again this afternoon. I'd love to have that question again for the afternoon drive, asking me what animal would be on my bucket list, something I haven't seen. Can I have more than one? It would be a big bucket. Sabria, basically, to put that first, second and third, last night I was talking about the premiere about the tigers last night on Nat Geo and Nat Geo Wild, or one of the two channels, and tigers would really be one of them. I would absolutely love to see tigers, and probably, it depends on how you answer the question. I mean, if I just had to see it just once and that's it, and I don't see it again, amur leopard maybe, or a snow leopard. But if I could go somewhere to go and spend a bit of time, in other words, a couple of days or weeks or months even, to really get to know the area and get to know individuals like we do here with Karula and the leopards like that, Kunyuma and so on, I would definitely say tigers would probably be my first. So go somewhere to India or parts of Asia where you still get them, and really immerse yourself into an area, get to know the area, and get to know some tigers. So that would be very high up on the list. Polar bears, same thing. Obviously, any of these things, I'd be happy just to see them, but ultimately, first choice would be go there for a couple of weeks or a month or two, three, and take a couple of jiggers along and go do it live and share it with you guys. That would be for me the most fun. I mean, if ever I see anything again, this would be my dream actually. My bucket list would be to go see all these things and take all of you along for it. So that's why we're hoping to get millions of people to enjoy this experience, so that we can go and show you these places. So tiger, polar bear, amur snow leopard, one of those, grizzly bear specific. I'd love to see grizzlies and brown bears around the salmon migration up the rivers. That would be amazing to see. I would absolutely love that. Black leopard, black panther in South America. I can think of lots of other little, sort of things specifically to mention, but ultimately I'd love to go to those places and then go and spend some time there and show you around the place itself, get to feel the environment and see the animal in it as well. And with that, I think you're going to go to the other vehicle, have a nice drive with Scott, and maybe ask that question again this afternoon if you're on the afternoon drive. I like that. See you later.
Welcome back, folks. No major updates from Tom and myself, but I have been asked a question, a very interesting question, which has got my mind racing. The question was, which animal is kind of top of my bucket list at the moment. And the answer to that is not an easy one, because there's so many animals out there that I really would like to see. But the animal that came to mind first was a tiger. I would love to go to India and view tigers there. Also great leopard viewing in India, interestingly enough. So a tiger would probably be top of the list, and then the second animal down would be a jaguar. So those are the two that came to mind, but there are certainly a lot more out there that I would like to see at some stage. A lot of the smaller endemic species that you get in countries like Madagascar, that's a place that I really want to go and do some exploring. They've got some very interesting mammals there, reptiles, their chameleons are unbelievable, and insects like you won't believe. So there's a lot of animals on the list, but tigers probably on the top of the podium at the moment. I'm just gonna jump out quickly for a second. We've just turned onto this road and there seems to be some tracks ahead of us. You can hear the go away bird alarming, and that's probably at me, so quite interesting to hear the quang. And that, I'm guessing, is because I was out of the vehicle. The tracks belonged to hyena, civet and dwarf mongoose. Or the three different tracks I saw on the road there. It was the hyena tracks that got my attention. So it's been a quiet morning for myself and Tom, and because Tom does have limited so I was just listening to VM, who's actually controlling the drive from the control room this morning. He was giving me an update on Pete's movements. So because Tom does have limited time here on drive, it would be nice to find him something big and interesting to film. As much as he did love the birds, I'm on a quest now to find something a bit larger for him to film. And this morning, just to give you an idea of how quiet it has been on this vehicle, old Zanele, we had a fleeting glimpse of a warthog crossing the road. That was our first mammal. And our second mammal were the hippo in the dam. And other than that, we have not seen any other mammals. So sometimes it's like that. And nothing wrong when the birds are performing like they did this morning. Okay. Now, I'm just going to keep a little bit more quiet. There's a hole on the side of this termite mound, and I've just seen what I think was a lizard. It could be a snake, but in all likelihood a lizard that's crawled back into the hole. Tom has got it. You can just see the end of its tail there. to the left of the leaf, and if we're lucky, it will poke its head back out. It will certainly be lured out by the sun, or it will be tempted to come out and sun itself. So if we just keep quiet for a few moments, hopefully it will come back out. I did try this briefly the other day. I think 2 mornings ago we got a glimpse of one disappearing back into a hole, and we waited for a while but not too long. This morning though, I'm willing to invest a little bit more time to see if it comes out. The name of the lizard that I think it is a giant plated lizard. They get about, let's say, 8 to 12 inches in length, half of which would be their body and half of which would be their tail. This go-away bird is still really shouting quite a lot, and a squirrel. So sorry, lizard, but let's go see what that go-away bird and squirrel are alarm calling at. It could be a mongoose, a snake, a leopard, any predator, a monitor lizard. So hard to tell what it is that they've seen, but they've certainly seen something that both of them don't like, both the tree squirrel and the grey go-away bird. So fingers crossed. Cover that. Let me just have a quick look here, and then I'll head back towards you guys. Now, the other thing to bear in mind is that both the bird and the tree squirrel have got a height advantage over us. They're very elevated and therefore can see further than us. Bless me, excuse me. Oof. So, what to do? Okay. So Tom's just panning across. It sounds like the tree squirrel and the go-away birds, or the go-away birds are definitely in that big dark green tree behind the marula, which is a jackalberry tree or an ebony tree, and that's where the alarm calls have been coming from. But like I say, they could be looking at something a little bit further away than we may presume. The tree squirrel has stopped alarm calling. Again, like I say, it could be something as small as a slender mongoose that comes and goes, and they put out an alarm. Or it could be something more substantial. Questions just come through from Darren. Good morning, Darren. How are you doing? Thanks for your thoughts and concern for our friend and cameraman Brian. He is feeling a lot better, and the malaria test that he did take yesterday came out negative. He brought back another. Tom actually took him. Tom is filming now. Took him to the closest town to a hospital, and they came back with what you call a prick test, which is just a small prick that you would put into your finger, and it's not very painful, and you wait 15 minutes, and then that gives you a fairly accurate malaria test. So we are going to do another one of those today with him and take it from there. But at this stage, Darren, all is well with Brian. We saw him last night. He said he was feeling better, and fingers crossed it isn't malaria, and he was potentially just feeling a bit down. We've been having a lot of early mornings and relatively late evenings, so potentially just needed to recharge the system. But thanks, Darren. All is well with Brian. Okay, well, things seem to have calmed down here. Well, as I say that, the tree squirrel starts alarm calling again. Let's go back and have one little look in this riverbed. It's a funny thing with riverbeds is we tend to just assume that leopards love being there, and sure they do. It's kind of a stereotypical place for leopards to house. But the fact that we are in a riverbed is subconsciously making me want this alarm call to be from that spotted friend of ours. Let's see if we can find this tree squirrel. It's very funny to watch them alarm call. It sounds like it's just in this leadwood tree on our right hand side. Give me a second to... What on earth have these animals seen here? There's a few squirrels around now. There's another one alarming in the jackalberry tree, which is the same tree that the grey go-away birds are in. It's really thick at the base of this tree. I mean, there could be a polar bear lying beneath it and we wouldn't see it, but we'll do our best to make sure there isn't a leopard or anything like that lying here. Let's see if we can find this squirrel. Quack! Such a comical call, that's the go-away bird. No luck in spotting the squirrel. Tom, what do you think? Move on.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, we gave it a decent attempt here. Always worth investigating. Who knows, maybe it's simply our presence that they're not happy with. Just a reminder for those of you who are watching for your first time, you can ask questions. On Twitter, it's #SafariLive. And if you would like to send an email, it's questions@wildearth.tv. The more questions you guys send through or special requests, the more we can try our best to tailor make the safari to your needs and answer any questions you may have. So please feel free to fire through as many questions as you would like. It certainly makes our job a lot easier getting questions from you, and we do appreciate it. And there is something really cool about answering a question from somebody thousands and thousands of kilometers or miles away in a different continent that's currently essentially with us on drive. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, but I do love the questions from all over the globe. Do you hear that branch breaking, Tom? Or was I imagining things? Just heard a branch break. And there's one animal that is notorious for making a noise and breaking branches. And that would be the elephant. So I just want to... It's very thick where I heard the noise coming from. So I just want to double check that I wasn't imagining things. Ooh. It appears to be fairly impenetrable woodland this, so just going to wait a few seconds to see if we hear anything else. On quieter mornings like this, and I say quieter regarding the mammal species, we've had a great time with the smaller things, especially the birds. But when it does get a bit quiet with mammals, it's interesting to see how your mind can start playing games in you. Every little shape you see or noise you hear, you think is an animal or a clue, which often leads you to making a fool of yourself. To let you guys know, Peter's had a small technical issue with his vehicle, so I think he's headed back to the control for them to try and fix it. Hopefully he'll be back out again before the end of the morning drive, but if not, you'll be able to follow him and Hayden this afternoon. But it'll just be yourselves, Tom and myself for the rest of the drive, just to let you guys know. Good morning, Alan, all the way from Northern California. Welcome to this morning's safari. Alan's question was, how long is the average lifespan of a leopard? Now, thankfully, because leopard have been followed so closely in the Sabi Sands Reserve where we find ourselves, we do have very accurate information as to how long they live for, and importantly in the wild as opposed to captivity, which may give you a blurred sense of their actual lifespan. Your average lifespan would be from anywhere between 16 and 20 years for a female leopard. I know of one female that was followed and recorded for 22 years, a certain individual, but that is on the longer side of the spectrum. And males also can be up to that age, but typically tend to be a little bit more inclined to dying younger, and that's because when they do get a bit older, let's say 15, 16 years of age, competition from other males, which is fierce, may lead to them being killed in a territorial battle, and or just being chased out, and because they live a hard, aggressive life, their body parts wear down faster than that of a female, if you could say that. So anywhere from 16 to 20 years of age would be a regular lifespan for a leopard in this area. A lot depends on where you are though. But like I say, the longest that I know of is a 22-year-old female that lived here. Now, that is, you know, if all things go well, they will live up to that stage, but I know of a female leopard that died when she was 8 years old. She had given birth to 6 or 7 litters of cubs, none of which survived, none of which she managed to raise to adulthood. So there is also that side of the spectrum. A lot of cubs don't make it, and occasionally a female or a male will die a lot younger than they are projected to. But thanks for that question, Alan. Hope all is well in California. This is a part of the reserve where I haven't spent too much time, so I don't know the name of the road we're on. I could find it out, and I probably should, but next time. Just using the sun as a kind of guide to guide us in the general direction of where we want to go. But very exciting for me, driving new roads and looking for certain landmarks, big trees that will help me remember a certain road, because they all do look quite similar, as you would have noticed. After only having driven Jigger since I've been here, it's interesting to feel how different Zanella is. She's got a little bit of a wider turning circle that I was warned about. So not as maneuverable as Jigger, which is surprising because they are the exact same vehicles. So I'm not sure how that works, but it is the case. I've been wondering this morning the exact whereabouts of those Birmingham boys. There were reports of their tracks west of us, not far west, which is a good thing. So it'll be interesting to know not only where they are, but what they've been up to in the, is it 2 nights now that we haven't seen them? I think that's correct. I think we haven't seen them for 2 nights, so who knows if they managed to continue their buffalo killing spree. They got three buffalo in 3 nights, which was seriously good going. It's not always that easy for predators to catch their prey consecutively like that, and especially not big prey like buffalo. So yeah, it'll be interesting to know whether they have caught any more buffalo, if they've come across any other lion, if there've been confrontations, when they will be back. But the good news is their tracks aren't far from us, so with a bit of luck they will come back to do what they do best, and that's hunt buffalo. Oh, now we've hit the jackpots. Yes. We have got, my friends, an interesting sight here. Now, before they disappear, I'm just going to let Tom get a quick shot on them. Now, you can see we have 2 tortoises. One in front and one behind. The only reason why I think a tortoise would be following very closely behind another tortoise would be to make love. So, with a bit of luck, we will be able to witness these tortoises in the act of mating. They also make quite a noise when they mate, so be prepared for that as well. It's quite a hilarious thing to witness, and I've only seen it a handful of times. These are leopard tortoises, and I'm just going to try and get into a spot where we don't interfere too much with what's going on, but I've chosen the wrong place to do that from. Bear with me. Thankfully they are tortoises, so they're not going to disappear in a hurry. But I just want to get into a position where we are not interfering with their courtship, and where you can also get a good view. Now, they were heading into this bush that Tom's zooming in on now. I'm hoping they're going to continue moving in our direction. If not, we'll reassess what to do. The tortoises don't mind making love out in the open, so I don't think they've headed in there to do their business. It was more just a coincidence that as we passed they were approaching that little thicket. So we'll just wait a moment or two, and with a bit of luck they'll come out. So like I say, that was in all likelihood the male following behind, a lot smaller than the female. And he is certainly intent on mating. Whether she's going to be receptive or not, I'm not sure, but there was certainly some love in the air. What to do, what to do. One thing I can assure you is that if we do drive very close in order to get a visual, they are going to be a little bit flustered. So we won't try that. I can see the larger shell of the female. And she is not moving. So not ideal, But let's give it a few moments. Maybe they were alarmed by our presence. Oof. I can see some. We've just got a question through from Lauren asking what is the most intimate and special interaction I've seen between two animals, and between different species I don't have one that comes to mind. I know there have been some incredible interactions between lion and oryx. There was a certain lion that would adopt young oryx, it's a type of antelope, and try its best to raise these young oryx, but obviously it didn't end very well because a lioness is not suited to raising an antelope. But also I've seen leopards making kills on small impala or even baboons, and they find a young baboon on the mother that they've killed, and then their maternal instincts kick in and they start to try and look after this baby baboon or baby monkey. So you do get some bizarre interactions like that. But for me, one of the most special and intimate things that I've ever seen wasn't with two different species, it was just with one, and those were with elephants. And it was 6 or 7 matriarchs that were huddling around a newborn calf, all using their trunks collectively to try and hold it up. And that really was a beautiful sight to see. All of these big cows completely surrounding a young calf, and obviously very concerned and interested, and just the nature of that, of the way they can be so gentle and caring, was really something that was interesting to see. And elephants are also known to mourn the death of members of their herd, and even when passing by an area where an elephant has died, they will pick up the bones, and you can almost tell from their body language that they are mourning. But thank you for that question, Lauren. The tortoises are moving. I'm looking through my binoculars ever so slightly in this bush. Like I said, they usually do vocalize when they are mating, so I'm not sure whether they are or they aren't, but it looks like the female's coming towards us now. This is great. She's slowly edging towards us. Darren on Twitter has just asked a question regarding where tortoises lay their eggs, if they lay them in specific places, and what the survival rate is of the young. To be honest, I don't know the finer details of tortoises' egg-laying habits. and the survival rate, but what I can tell you is that I do know that the temperature that the eggs are incubated at does have an effect on whether the young will be male or female. And I always get confused because it's inverted. With crocodile and tortoises it's different, but I know that either it's males if it's a slightly warmer temperature, or females if it's a slightly cooler temperature, or vice versa. But I'm convinced that it's crocodiles and tortoises are roles reversed. And in terms of survival rates, a lot of animals do feed on eggs. It's a very easy food source and high yielding in protein, so I'm sure the survival rates will not be high, and a lot of nests will be tampered with or found out and plundered, especially by animals like monitor lizards, baboons. But thanks, Darren, that is a good question, and maybe somebody can Google the nesting habits of a leopard tortoise and relay some more information to us. That would be greatly appreciated, because I too would like to know a little bit more about what happens after the mating. I'm torn now whether to move closer or stay put. She has moved closer towards us, and I'm hoping she's going to continue to keep moving. She's really a beautiful specimen, one of the biggest leopard tortoises I've actually ever seen in this area. They don't get as large as they can in other parts of southern Africa. Here in the Sabi Sands, they tend to come as a slightly smaller model in these parts. You see, because if we go closer, all that's going to happen is that they're going to be more inclined to hide. And if they're hiding in there, we're not going to get a good view. So I'm hoping this male's going to be bothering her enough to keep her on the move. What else can we see around us? Yeah, well, I've been so focused on these tortoises, I haven't been paying attention to what else is about. I've got a tiny little gap where I can actually see this female tortoise's eye. I can see her blinking, but that's just about all I can see through my binoculars. Let's just go a few meters closer and see if anything changes. Trying to just creep in as slowly and delicately as possible. This isn't going to be easy. I think this is a better side to do it from. Okay, Tom, good luck. Are we going to be able to make anything out in there? Yeah, if you go left a little bit, I can see a shell there. It's kind of in the center of the shot, but obviously focusing is going to be near on impossible. Let me have another look through the binoculars and just try and get a bit of an update as to what is going on there. Stand up, let's get a bit of a bird's eye view. Well, they certainly aren't mating, but are very close to one another. The male is still directly behind the female. You may be wondering how on earth a smaller male tortoise would be able to mount a female and then be able to mate successfully with her. Not an easy task, but the males do have a concave plastron, which is the term used for their undercarriage, I think. I stand to be corrected. I think it is the plastron, that is the bony or the hard shell. That is essentially their stomach, and the males have got a concave belly which allows them to almost fit onto the shell of the female, whereas the females have a dead flat belly. So if the female was to try and mate with another female, obviously this is never going to work, but she would just keep sliding off, whereas the males have got this perfectly designed concave plastron. There seems to be a little bit of maneuvering. I don't know if it's eating, but I can hear some vegetation being pulled apart. Folks, I'm sorry. This is just such an amazing thing happening right here, but we would be intervening in a very negative way if we were to get a visual of any quality. So I'm glad we got a glimpse of them heading into their little honeymoon thicket, and who knows, it is that time of the year, so we could potentially find some other tortoises that are less shy and willing to perform in front of us. But very interesting to see, and thank you for bearing with me, and I think it was definitely worth hanging around, giving them a chance to come out of that thicket. But we've only got half an hour left, so let's go and see what else is out there. I really thought we were going to see some tortoises mating there. It's seriously a cool thing to see. Anyway. Sharon's just asked a question that I don't know the answer to, but I'm going to try my best to answer the question for you, Sharon. She's asked, how good is a tortoise's hearing? Now, my initial thought process is that because it's so well protected by that armor-plated shell, its hearing sense is not going to aid it hugely. By hearing a potential predator it's not really going to help it greatly because it can get into its shell very quickly to hide. In order to find food, it doesn't need good hearing. What it needs is a good sense of smell to find food and water, so I'm sure their sense of smell is very good. And I'm thinking, again, their eyesight is fairly good, because as long as whatever's trying to attack them is not too far away, they can just pull their legs and head in, and it's a quick escape route. So by having decent eyesight and a very good sense of smell, those would be necessary and beneficial adaptations for a tortoise. Whereas hearing, I presume they have not evolved to have very good hearing because it's not a necessity for them. Again, it's worth somebody double checking on the internet or in some textbooks, but that would be my logical way of breaking down how good a tortoise's hearing is. So I hope that answers your question, Sharon, and I think it kind of makes sense. Let me know if you don't think it does. Again, like I mentioned earlier, the stereotype or stereotypical setting to find leopard in is this. So it's just a millipede crossing the road in front of us, and because of this sandy track, it would be difficult for me to get out of its way and avoid crushing it, so we will just have to wait. For those hundreds of legs to transport it effortlessly. Have quite a steep gradients. Look at those legs, it's just a wave of legs. Really awesome. There must be a certain part of the brain simply to control the leg function of that animal, because it has got a lot of them. Well, it's taken a while, folks, but my father has just asked his first question, and quite a tricky one, so I'm not going to answer it, but I am going to say hello. How's it, Dad? Have a board. And he's been telling me for a while now that he's going to trick me with a difficult question, so VM's just sent that through to me, and I am going to avoid it. So anyway, good to have my dad, mother, and just from VR world have fallen in love with this LiveSafari. Here. I'm not sure where. Avoided answering it, but I did say hello to him. So again, if you didn't hear it, how's it, Dad? Good to hear. Get up to higher ground for better reception. But I saw a lion track just behind us over there, so I just want to try and establish when it was from. That is one individual track, and no more that I can see. So vehicles may have driven over the other tracks, and also that indicates that the tracks are a bit old because vehicles have had time to drive over them. So back to my father's question, it actually wasn't a difficult one. I just needed some time to think about it, and he was asking me to just let you guys know essentially, or bring up the fact that there is not only a big five, which for those of you who don't know is the leopard, the lion, the buffalo, the rhino and the elephants. There's been a small five that's been created, and we've actually seen two of them this morning, so I should have picked up on this, so thanks Dad for pointing this out. The first of which is a buffalo weaver. So we've seen the red-billed buffalo weaver this morning, so that's one of the small five. And the second one on the small five that we saw this morning was the leopard tortoise. Other members that we could potentially see are the rhino beetle, which we do get here. I haven't seen any yet, but it's a small black beetle with a very rhino-like looking protrusion or tusk or horn, you could call it. And then you also get the elephant shrew, which is a small rodent. We don't actually get the elephant shrew in these parts. And then the one that we have left out is the antlion. Now, the antlion we do get here, it's a small insect, and it's actually most commonly known when it's in its larval form, and they create small conical pits in the sand, and what happens is they wait at the base of this small sandy pit, and any ant or insects that falls into that pit can't get out because the sand is so fine. It avalanches as the insect tries to escape out of this little cone. The antlion also flicks from the base of the cone and flicks sand up, inducing avalanches to bring whatever prey animal it is back down into the bottom of its trap, and then it grabs onto whatever it is, often ants, hence the name antlion, and then they pull them down beneath the sand and feed on them. But that is, like I say, when that animal is in its larval form, it metamorphosizes into a clumsy dragonfly, essentially, that you see flying around at night. When it's an adult, little mud wallow there, that would potentially be getting a bit of action later on as it heats up. Buffalo and elephant would visit that, and it would be the equivalent of us going to a health spa, I guess. They get to refresh themselves and cover their skins in a protective layer of mud that prevents any parasites from latching onto them, and or if parasites have managed to latch onto them already, it cakes them in this crust, and then when the elephant or buffalo finds a pole to rub against or a tree to rub against, it literally peels off or exfoliates all the parasites that may be on it. Those are the crested francolin we can hear calling. Okay, Tom, we need to find you something to
Yes, very much.
something to film. I'm trying. I'm actually very surprised at how little we've seen in the way of mammals, but here we go. Kudu. That'll do. Are you happy with the kudu, Tom?
Yeah.
Hopefully there'll be a big bull amongst them, and there is, and a steenbok too. Oh, they're less likely to hang around, but let's just try our luck. Now these two little antelope are fully grown. It's in all likelihood a mating pair, and they're polygynous. If we look at, we can notice that he's scent marking, and he's got what's called an orbital gland. So on the bottom right of his eye you can see a little black spot, and that little black spot produces a scent that he's rubbing on those little twigs. Come on, do it again. Watch closely. You see? Okay, no, now he's feeding. But earlier he was rubbeting that orbital gland on little branches, and I'm sure he'll continue to do it. Males and females compete for territory, so they do not overlap, which is very interesting with these animals. In specific, it's usually that the male will encompass several females within a territory potentially, and share territory with females and only compete with other males. But in this case there's intergender competition. There we go. Did you see that? There he rubbed his eye. He's tending to use his left eye more than his right eye to do the scent mark. There we go. Did it again. And he's doing it fairly consistently and in very short intervals, which was interesting to see. So that was some very cool behavior to see, considering the fact that they have got this very unique situation and that they do compete with one another for territories. So now, without further ado though, we are going to try and get Tom an angle on these kudu. There's a beautiful bull that I can see. There we go. Beautiful. His horns are so long it's hard for Tom to frame everything in the picture. But look at that. Little ivory tips, the terms for those little white tips on the end of their horns, and that's typical for the bigger, older males. There's a few of them together, and what I'm going to do is just reposition slightly. There's a little gap that I've seen. Maybe we can get some more viewing out of them. They seem very relaxed, which is great as well, because they can be a little bit skittish, the kudu, and aren't we in the same shot, which is going to be good. Let's get this Inyala while we can, Tom, just to give the viewers an idea of size difference. And so that is the Inyala there. That is he's coming towards us. Also has a white chevron between the eyes, just like that of the kudu. Sorry, Tom, I'm not getting you in the best spot here. It stopped just to look at the steenbok, which were running away. Well, I think chasing one another. Sense is very alert. his horns will get bigger, the Inyala, but not nearly as large as the kudu, and they're not spiraled as intensely. They don't create those big circular spirals. It's more just spirals on itself. Let's get these kudu in frame here. Rose has just asked a question on kudu. Rose has been following WildEarth for many years, and thanks for that, Rose, and good to have you with us. Rose has asked why, in all the years that she has been following WildEarth, why she has not seen a baby kudu. Now, that's a good question. The kudu live in typically thick vegetation. That's why they've got these massive ears, almost like satellite dishes, which help them hearing predators which are potentially stalking them in this very thick habitat that they find themselves. And they find themselves in thick habitats because, as you can see, they are browsers. So they require leaves and therefore trees and thicker vegetation to survive. And I guess the fact that because they do live in thicker vegetation, they might take their young into these thick areas where we can't view them when they are very young. But potentially it's just been bad luck, and you haven't been on drive when the baby kudu have been seen, because they certainly will be, if there weren't baby kudu, there wouldn't be able to be big kudu. So they certainly will be here somewhere, and I'm sorry that you've yet to see one, but we will try our best to find one in the coming months. So far this calving season or lambing season, I haven't seen any kudu young myself, but I have seen some Inyala calves that have been born, and there are some Inyala behind us. I'm just keeping an eye out to see if there are any very youngsters with them. Let's try to get back into frame of these Inyala. But thanks for that question, Rose, and if we see a baby kudu or hear of one, we'll do our best to head over there and show you. To put things in perspective though, I mean, I've worked in this industry for coming on 7 years, and the first wildebeest I saw, or actually the first animal that I ever saw give birth, was the wildebeest on my first drive for WildEarth, after 7 years of guiding. So there are things that it doesn't matter if you are out here all day, every day, you simply may not be in the right place at the right time to see it. Here's the baby Inyala. So Rose, I know it's not a kudu, but it is a baby Inyala that we can see coming into frame now, and it's a really, really cute antelope. Boom, there we go, look at those colorations. Awesome, good filming there, Tom. You had a very small window in which to operate. So Rose, I know it's not a kudu, but it's a very close relative, and it's a very cute baby. So I hope that this will suffice for now until we find the time to find you a big kudu, a baby kudu. All shapes and sizes coming through here. Younger males about to come in, a bigger male. So, well, they all seem very happy, tails wagging, ears twitching from side to side. They almost seem to be greeting one another. There's a young male on our left coming in, a clear opening. And if you stay on that opening, the rest of them are going to come through there, Tom. So that's probably your best bet for now. There's still a few more. There's a big male that's about to come through, so if you just stay there, you should be good. Yeah, it looks like the boss is about to appear into the frame. Oh, look at him. He's erecting that mane of his as a display potentially to me and Tom that all of these ladies belong to him, and also just to reassure them and reaffirm that they are with a beautiful big Inyala, and he is a fine specimen, he really is. Now, I think our best bet will be to try and get back onto the road and then get ahead of these animals and try and get another visual of them. Got a beautiful little clearing that we're about to arrive into, where we should be able to get some great shots of these Inyala. Magic. I can see the steenbok in the background chasing one another. Those male and female are obviously still disputing whose land is whose and where the boundaries lie. Hopefully they will come into frame. Beautiful big bushy tails the Inyala have. And there's that youngster. You'll notice they sometimes prick up their heads and are looking to the left. That's where those two steenbok are chasing one another around wildly. And I am actually going to drive up to the edge of this clearing where they are now, as that way we may be lucky enough to get a glimpse of these steenbok running around. Those vertical white stripes do a huge amount for the Inyala in breaking up their body shape, and because the Inyala, just like the kudu, also live in thick wooded areas, you could imagine the vertical branches of small trees lining up with the small vertical white lines that we can see on their body, and thus allowing them to blend into the habitat that they typically find themselves in. The male that we can see doesn't have that camouflage, but it has a darker coat and also a few different shades, which again, for camouflage, a lot of the time, as long as you're breaking up your coloration and not being one uniform color, that is the ultimate camouflage. So it's not necessarily putting a green shirt on because you're in a green environment. It's more important to wear clothing that breaks up your body shape as opposed to one uniform color. A very unique coloration though for the antelope in this area. The kudu and the inyali are the only ones we have with this beautiful white striping. The steer Okay, well there's just a few minutes left. We'll leave these inyala alone. They're heading into fairly thick vegetation over there. And just slowly amble along for the last few minutes. Okay. You get that little bird there. It's the first one I've seen since I've been here. Oh, well done, Tom. You are. There we go. That, folks, is what is commonly known as a southern black tit, and it's the first one I've seen since I've been here, hence my excitement to see it. So another one to add to the list from this morning. Good work there, Tom. You get another tit called the grey penduline tit, and that makes an incredible nest where it's actually got a false entrance to confuse any predators or snakes that they try and get into this false entrance that just leads into like a small empty chamber, whereas in fact the entrance is on the top of this nest that they make out of fur and any kind of woolly substances, fine, what's the word, almost not twine but thin pieces of bark or strips of chewed up branches that elephants have chewed on. Anything that's kind of twiny that they can create a solid nest with, a solid woven nest. That's the grey penduline tit, the cousin of the southern black tits. We do get them here, so we'll keep an eye out for their nests. We're not far away but we're also not close enough to some open clearings where I was hoping on finishing off the drive, but it doesn't look like we will make it there, so we'll just carry on ambling along. Maybe we'll get a glimpse of whatever is on the open clearings just as we close. But thanks very much for joining us this morning. Sorry it's been a bit quiet. Until the kudu, the inyala and the steenbok, we had only seen a warthog and a pod of hippos in terms of mammals. But really enjoyed the birds at Buffelshoek Dam and following the tracks of what was more likelihood of Mvula was good fun. So until tomorrow morning, have a good one. Pete and Hayden will be out this afternoon. Until tomorrow, all the best. Thank you.